Hi, welcome to Revenue Marketing Television, the CMO Insights series. I am your host, Jeff Pedowitz, President and CEO of the Pedowitz Group. Today, as our guest, we have Alison Murdock, who is Chief Marketing Officer at SocialChorus. Alison, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, nice to meet you and great to be here.
Yeah, thrilled to have you. So, SocialChorus, great name. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, SocialChorus is a workforce communications platform, and we serve internal communicators, typically at very large companies. So, believe it or not, we as marketers say, well, there must be a platform to reach every worker. Well, there really isn't. So, communicators, I like to say it's the last remaining group in the enterprise that does not have a purpose-built platform. And that's what we do. We help them reach every worker, whether they're on the factory floor or on a job site or sitting at their desk through mobile, branded mobile app, but also a lot of technology integrations that, serve the person who reads newsletters or the person who just watches video at their desktop.
Nice. So I'll be devil's advocate for a minute, right? I'm the head of HR or CFO, and I say, so what? We already have email. We have everyone's phone numbers. I can reach everybody on my team if I want to.
Well, here's the thing. You can say that, but we all know what newsletter click-through rates are like. In fact, we have some customers, Erica Lockhart at Vodafone, that said, we just looked at our newsletter response and we just said nobody's reading it. We turned it off. We started using SocialChorus. So the reality is most people are reading news on their phones, but it's more than that. Sometimes they don't want to. Sometimes they can't actually. So there are other means of communications. But what's really hard for the communicator is publishing in one place and distributing the information in a very efficient manner. That's the problem we're solving. It's more than just an app to get to people and have them read in a mobile environment. It's really about making life easier for the communicator so they can plan, create, publish, and measure the impact of their communications.
And so as you go to market, what are some of your biggest challenges?
Well, I think some of the major challenges just in macro are that organizations are going through digital transformation right now. What does that mean? It can mean so many things. If you're a manufacturing company, it could be the introduction of IoT into your data set. If you are a hospital, it could be getting off paper and onto digital means. But really at the heart of that is communications. And because if your employees don't understand why you're introducing new technology or, why do they suddenly have to comply with some communication that comes out to them and says, okay, this is a safety compliance, this is a regulation, you need to do this right now. They don't understand that. You're going to have a really hard time digitally transforming. So one of the challenges that we in this space face is educating leadership about communications being the fundamental piece of their initiative. And there are a lot of trends that back this up. There's a emerging workforce, the Gen Zs and the millennials of the world who don't want email, they want it on mobile. There's the whole gig economy. There's a lot of research out there that shows that enterprises are now, even though they have many full-time workers, contractors and gig workers they need to communicate. So I think, educating our market is one of the biggest challenges as a smaller company, and I come from the startup world, that we face. So we have to do that in several ways, which we can talk about in a second if you'd like to ask that question.
Well, that's a great lead-in. So why don't you tell us about that? How are you doing it?
Well, when you're at a company our stage, there's so many things you can do in marketing. And I like to boil it down to two initiatives. And it's the top of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel, really. I mean, let's just, being technical about it. But at the top of the funnel, it's raising awareness that there is a problem and that things need to change. So from a leadership standpoint, pointing out some of the trends that are impacting could be impacting their enterprise. And we attack that problem through, the initiatives like PR, content marketing, even interviews like we're doing right now, just letting people know, hey, this is something to think about. This is a major change that will be, affecting companies of all sizes, but really the big ones, the brand names we all know. The bottom of the funnel, I hate to kind of keep talking about account-based marketing because everybody's talking about it, and you'll see when you the
I,
more
I
we talk.
gosh,
I've
I've never heard that term before. Account-based marketing.
Target accounts, people.
Yeah.
No, it really is looking, very diving into these specific accounts, specific people who have pain, who need those pain points solved, and telling them what is possible as a marketer, we all know about automation, we know about campaigns and the cadence, and that there's no magic bullet and you have to do it in 10 different ways. Our communicators, they're amazing. They're externalists, they're PR people, but they don't know a lot necessarily about campaigns and about how you could send different messages to the same group of people to drive an action. And that's what we're working on. So we have to spend a lot of time investing and investment in training them and educating them and showing them what's possible technologically and metrics and so forth, things that they maybe haven't been exposed to. So our go-to-market, really, if you want to kind of summarize it, is raising awareness there's a problem, and then from the bottom up, grassroots way, letting people know what's possible.
Okay. So because you're on the smaller side, what does your team look like? I mean, what kind of skills are you recruiting for, and then how are you assembling your team to get the job done?
Great question. So when I arrived at SocialChorus, it was we have the most amazing sales team I've ever seen in my career. They're quite large. It's about 5-to-1 sales to marketing, which can be challenging, but just super amazing people, well-trained, proactive, and ready to get out there in the field and talk about what we do. And so we have to keep up with them. So in order to build the team, I picked 3 anchor pieces: product marketing, content marketing, and demand gen. And then from there, we have some other people who work with us, but some are contractors, some are employees. The reason why I made those choices, obviously demand gen, that's our engine to get many communications out the door to our customers, to our prospects. Content, if you don't have anything to put in your email, it gets a little empty. So we are using many formats of content. We're really just getting rolling on that, but everything from guides and your typical sort of B2B marketing content to more creative things like interviews, like what you're doing right now, as well as some interactive graphics, so forth. So more to come on that. And then product marketing, we have a product that is not super complex, but has some complexity that we need to educate our customers about. So those are our big 3 investments at the moment. We also have a PR team. I know a lot of B2B marketers kind of frown on PR. It's not trackable. I've personally had a great success with PR. I think you need to know how to leverage PR, how to feed the beast with content and ideas. You have to put the time in, but it can really work from an awareness standpoint and a credibility standpoint, especially if you can get your customers to talk to reporters with you.
Oh, that's great. So from a process standpoint, what are some of the things that you're putting in to help you scale as you move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think when you're in a small company, you have to think about it like a business, right? You have to think about it like, I'm mobilizing a small army. I mean, sometimes I feel that way. And so you have to make hard choices. And so I think about process as part strategy and part relentless execution with a very high level of quality, if we can do it. It's always hard for startups because you never have enough time and you never have enough resources. However, if you focus on the right stuff, you can do a great job. You might have some failures, and you might have wonderful wins. So I think about when I came into this in terms of establishing process and how we were going to build this department. I believe in, I committed quite a bit of time to assessing our landscape and really understanding our competition, but also where our leverage points were. And I think when you work for a startup, you have to do that very, very quickly. I kind of call the startup roles like dog years. 1 week is 7 weeks at any other company. So you have to think quickly, and you have to make some quick bets. And you might be wrong, but you've got to make decisions quickly. The other thing is, establishing what is your point of view in the market? How are you different from those competitors? That was very interesting here because this company's been around for a little while. It's smaller, but it's been around for a while. And the point of view we had wasn't wrong. It's just that we weren't pushing the right buttons. So we within 2 weeks, I made a fairly major shift to focus more on our customers and their pain versus the end user that we were serving, that employee. We still believe that, employees need to be informed and aligned, and it's really the foundation for an organization, but the pain is with the communicator. So we made some shifts there. And part of the way to get there is say, why do we get to be in this business? What do we want? What do we want this business to be? What's our outcome that we want? Because otherwise, if you don't put your North Star out there, you don't know where to go. The other side of it is, really thinking about, okay, well, we're headed this way. What's our strategy? But what are all the details that roll up into that strategy? And really articulate those and delegate ownership to your team. And then, just be bullish and choose what, measure relentlessly and then assess and be honest with yourself. This didn't work, or it could work if we had X, Y, and Z. And then, you have to think about scaling. And that's why that foundational work is so important to start, because you sort of have to get that direction right and then go. And then, in terms of just processes, I tend to be, pretty strict about documentation and about, every week we look at metrics, every month we look at metrics, every quarter we look at metrics, we report metrics, because the more you force people to be honest about their performance, the better they'll get and the better trained they'll get. And I have some junior people on my team, and they ask me about, well, what can I do to get promoted or improve? And I said, know the data and be able to report it, write well, and tell a good story. And so that's a lot of the process is establishing the foundation as well as how we operate as a team, what my expectations are.
Well, very great answer. Very detailed too. Love it. So
detail.
How does, for a company of your size, how does technology play a role now? So you've mentioned scale a lot. So what does your stack look like? What are you investing in? And what kind of tools and software are helping you guys get the job done?
Well, we have, kind of the basic bits are fairly typical Salesforce Marketo, right? But we are, and you probably know this, I ran marketing at 6 Sense about 4 years ago, and we are actually now a customer of 6 Sense. So we are using predictive technology. We just rolled this out recently, and our sales team is super excited about it because they see that when they look at what a customer is doing from Marketo, they only see one piece of it. They know that there's more to it, and they don't often know when a customer is in market to buy. And we're starting to see some interesting data they would never have seen otherwise. So it's really exciting, having been on the side of launching that company to now being a customer and using it in practice. We use Hootsuite, we use Instapages to spin up different types of landing pages so we can A/B test them. Marketo is not, the landing pages are a little tricky sometimes, and we don't always have the people on board to change code, so forth. But we also use, we're also looking at, when we do analysis, we're looking at a few tools that look at the sales cadence. So when you set your next meeting has everything to do with whether or not you may get that account. And how long, it seems obvious because you're like, oh, you should talk to them in the next 2 weeks. Well, when you're working with companies that have 100,000 employees, not so possible. So we've done a lot of studies of the right sales motion. So that's pretty interesting stuff. The other side of it too is Tableau, which is not typically used by marketers, but analyzing kind of some of the patterns that we see on the sales side and how that relates to what we're doing on the marketing side. So we're just getting into some of that. I personally love technology. I've spent my entire career in technology, and I think if things were different when I was young, I might be doing something else. Probably still some level of marketing, but super interested in trying new things.
So as you grow, what are you being held accountable for, and then what are you holding your team accountable for?
Yeah. So for me personally, when I joined SocialChorus, they had different people in marketing, but they really had it for a long time, had a marketing leader. And the reason why I joined is I loved the problem we were solving. It seemed so simple, and yet there was so much opportunity to, educate our customers and really make them heroes, make those communicators heroes, because they're the people who used to write press releases and send them out. Like nobody, they didn't have the love. And I love education is something I'm really passionate about. And so this was one way to do it at work. What I'm being held accountable for is our perception. I mean, I'm not the only one. Obviously, there are many players here at this company, but how the market thinks about us, how we're able to differentiate, and frankly, how marketing, if you're investing in marketing, can move sales. And we're in a world where sales cycles are quite long, but what can we do to shorten those? And we've already come up with some, we've changed our first deck to eliminate one extra meeting they used to have. So we're making small changes, and then I need to tell the team, how do we do? And show them, since not everybody thinks they know marketing, but, and I'm not criticizing this company, but everyone's sort of an armchair marketer. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I love ideas, but frankly, they don't always know what it takes to get from point A to point B. And I do. Not everything, but a lot. And so you have to spend some time educating them. Why do we have this outcome? What didn't work? What worked? What were the one or two things that we did right? And where should we go next? So that they depend on me to sort of guide them in terms of our perception in the market, or how people perceive us in the market, and the outcomes that support our sales team. In terms of my own team, and I've said this earlier, I feel what I want for them is to think critically, to be curious, to never accept, to get things done, but to know that we can always improve. That's so important to me, to be honest with ourselves about what we're good at, what we're not good at. If you're in demand gen and you're not great at marketing operations, let's find someone who is to support you. If you're great at marketing operations and you can't write an email to save your life, we fix that. So just being really honest and knowing that the bar is high.
Love that. Gosh, Alison, it's just so easy to see why you're so successful. Loved the interview. Great answers. We are out of time for today, but we might have to bring you back again for part 2.
I would love to. And anytime, I'm happy to do it. We could get creative. We could have a discussion. We could have one other person. What do you think about that?
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
It's good for your flow here, but.
Well, hey, I'm all for thinking outside the box. Why not? So, but thank you again for being on the show today, and we will definitely talk soon.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the invitation.
You bet.
Okay. Take care.